An extraordinarily rare and extremely significant archaeological discovery has been unearthed in Jerusalem.
These new findings shining an even brighter light onto our past.
Imagine uncovering a message hidden for 2 millennia, a private letter that might have been written by Jesus himself, never intended for public eyes. This discovery could completely redefine our understanding of one of history's most influential figures, revealing not miracle or doctrine, but a deeply human story of sorrow, forgiveness, and brotherhood. How could such a fragile artifact remain sealed and forgotten for so long, and why has it sparked awe and skepticism in equal measure? The words found inside this sealed cave near the Sea of Galilee challenge everything we thought we knew about faith, history, and the man whose name still echoes through time. The Hidden Letters Discovery. In a remote cave near Mount Arbell, on the western edge of the Sea of Galilee, a remarkable archaeological discovery stunned experts and historians alike. What seemed to be an ordinary ancient storage chamber was revealed to contain something far more extraordinary: a small stone box covered in sediment and sealed with traces of wax. This box wasn't just any container. It was deliberately crafted and carefully hidden, sparking immediate curiosity about what it might hold. The sealed box was unlike anything typically found in such caves, hinting at the importance or secrecy of its contents. The excavation took several days to complete, because layers of sediment and a natural rock slide had shielded the box from discovery for centuries. When the researchers finally opened it, they found a rolled parchment inside, remarkably well preserved despite its apparent age. The parchment was wrapped in decayed cloth fragments, and faint script was visible only under special lighting, suggesting that whoever hid it valued its protection highly. Such meticulous concealment pointed to a message that was meant to endure, but not to be openly read. Initial examinations indicated the text was written in Aramaic, the common spoken language of first-century Judea. This fact alone is significant because Aramaic was the everyday tongue Jesus and many contemporaries would have used, setting this find apart from typical religious manuscripts that were often in Greek or Latin. This delicate clue sparked intense debate among experts, wondering if this could indeed be an authentic personal correspondence from an era so closely tied to the life of Jesus. The idea of discovering a first-hand message from that time was enough to make scholars uneasy and excited. However, the script's tone and style set it apart sharply from religious texts or official decrees. Those who glimpsed early translations claimed it read like a private letter, informal, personal, and filled with emotional weight rather than doctrine or prophecy. The handwriting also appeared uneven and unrefined, possibly written by the author themselves, not a trained scribe. This rawness introduced a deeply human element into what had until now been primarily spiritual and historical records. Among the tantalizing details was a salutation addressed to "brother," sparking intense speculation about its intended recipient. Some proposed this might be James the Just, traditionally regarded as Jesus' brother and an important figure in early Christianity. If true, the letter could provide an emotional window into family bonds strained by public ministry and growing tensions of the era. Yet, without definitive proof, even this intimate connection remained veiled in mystery. Despite growing public interest and viral reactions, official archaeological institutions have yet to authenticate the find fully. The Israel Antiquities Authority has not issued confirmations, and many mainstream scholars remain cautious, warning of premature conclusions. They emphasize the risk of forgeries or later reproductions that occasionally surface in the antiquities market. Still, the discovery has already ignited a global conversation about what might lie hidden beneath the dust of history. This sealed letter, wrapped in time and secrecy, challenges long-held assumptions about the kinds of records that have survived from Jesus' lifetime. For decades, no original writings directly from Jesus were known, only accounts written decades later by followers. If this fragile parchment is genuine, It could shift the very foundation of historical and religious scholarship. Yet, its contents remain just out of reach, holding back their full impact. As anticipation builds around what the letter truly contains, the quiet cave above Galilee feels less like a forgotten hollow and more like a threshold to an unseen chapter of faith and history. The story embedded in that small stone box beckons us to look deeper, to question what we think we know about one of history's most enigmatic figures. But understanding the place where this secret was hidden only deepens the intrigue. The caves of Mount Arbell have guarded their stories for centuries, their shadows holding echoes of the past. The cave and its secrets. Mount Arbell rises sharply on the western shoreline of the Sea of Galilee, its cliffs guarding a landscape that has witnessed centuries of history and conflict. These caves, carved naturally and modified by human hands, served many purposes over the ages, from sheltering rebels during the turbulent time of Herod to offering refuge for early followers of emerging faiths. Their strategic location atop steep rock faces made them perfect hideouts from Roman patrols or warring factions in the region. Each cave is a silent witness to the lives of ordinary people and extraordinary events long forgotten. Archaeologists have explored Mount Arbell's caves before, uncovering artifacts like coins, oil lamps, and ceramics. Yet none carried the weight of what was recently found, a sealed limestone box hidden in a partially collapsed chamber. The narrow entrances filled with limestone dust and pottery shards concealed this secret for centuries, untouched by chance or human hands. The environment inside the caves, cool and sheltered from the elements, helped preserve objects that would have otherwise decayed in open air. The deliberate sealing and concealment of the box hint at more than mere storage. It suggests a purposeful act of preservation and silence. Wax seals were commonly used in antiquity to protect letters or contracts, marking them as personal and sacred. The traces of hardened wax indicated a seal intended to keep the contents secure indefinitely, a silent promise that the message inside was not meant to be disturbed lightly. The use of organic resin in the wax further emphasizes the care taken to protect what lay within. As the cave's location looms over the Galilean Valley, it connects physically and symbolically to ancient towns like Magdala and Capernaum, well-known centers in early Christian history. These regions are frequently referenced in historical texts as places where Jesus taught and where his followers gathered, grounding the discovery firmly within a recognized biblical landscape. Holding this letter meant holding a tangible link to a world long vanished but still alive, in tradition and faith. The caves are a narrative of toughness and secrecy. The inner parts of the caves contain the sounds of revolt and hideout. The rocky caves are bastions for messages asking to be preserved through upheaval and time. The circumstance that the specific cave was not opened, covered by a rock slide, indicates that the message was intentionally hidden inside to avoid being found, be it because of fear, respect, or wanting to protect the contents from being misunderstood or misused. A few historical facts remind us that this area was a cultural tension and belief crossover of a sort. The first century saw Roman rule, Jewish opposition, and the growth of new religious groups that would eventually form Christianity. In such a setting, any document left would not only contain words, but also the heavy burden of conflicting hopes, fears, and loyalties that characterized the daily life of that period. This letter from the Cave of Letters has been one among many artifacts. However, it did not only change the viewpoint of Christianity and history, it also brought new meaning to the shadows and stones of this region, inviting us to think of other hidden stories that might be waiting to be discovered in the folds of this ancient landscape. It is a place where the truth and the myth are so intertwined that seeing caves merely as shelters would be a very great mistake. They actually do become the portals to the past. The environment that is rugged and steep did not only provide a not very easy access for the fragile stone box, but also for the secrets it contains. The silence of the place is a reflection of the doubts and difficulties of the parchment, the difficulties that are even more significant with the physical and historical aspects involved. The heights may have sheltered a very personal message waiting to be heard when the world was ready for it. The language etched on the parchment offers us a rare glimpse into the world behind the seal. Language and handwriting analysis. The script on the ancient parchment found in Mount Arbell's cave is written in Aramaic, the everyday language spoken in Galilee during the 1st century. This dialect is significant because it reflects the spoken words of ordinary people, including Jesus and those around him, distinguishing it from the formal religious texts typically composed in Greek or Latin. Linguists immediately recognize this as a crucial detail, as it suggested a personal, rather than official or liturgical, communication. Finding a message in this tongue tied it intimately to the cultural and historical context of the time. Experts noted the handwriting bore signs of being penned by an individual rather than a professional scribe. The ink, a brownish soot-based pigment, appeared uneven and faded, expected for a piece possibly 2,000 years old. The text itself was arranged in short, personal phrases, lacking the structured prose common to scripture or legal decrees. This style conveyed a sense of immediacy, as if the writer was expressing thoughts in a moment of reflection or urgency, not composing prepared teachings. The apparent unevenness and simplicity of the script have further intrigued researchers. It implies the letter may have been written in haste or emotional turmoil, giving rise to a tone of raw honesty unheard of in religious literature from that era. Such intimacy challenges expectations and could represent a side of Jesus rarely portrayed, the vulnerable, human aspect behind the messianic figure. It's this tone that has caught the attention of theologians and historians alike, eager to reconcile faith with the personal. Additional physical evidence suggests the letter was intentionally concealed to protect it from damage by environmental factors. The parchment's edges strengthened with animal glue, and the careful rolling intimated a foresight of preservation against humidity. Meanwhile, the wax seal was fortified with organic resin, indicating that whoever hid the letter expected it to remain untouched, possibly for centuries. The deliberate efforts to shield the message hint at its immense importance and sensitive nature. Initial conversions of the text showed phrases that were completely different from the usual religious language. No commandments, no miracles announced, and no predictions. The tone, on the other hand, showed a heavy resignation and a personal load, with the help of words showing one's sorrow and the hard truth of the matter. The feelings, if they really belong to Jesus, open up a new dimension of his historical character, one of understanding and silent suffering instead of an outspoken proclamation. A few scholars have indicated minor inconsistencies in the language that create further discussions concerning the letter's exact place of origin. The usage of expressions that do not belong to the 1st century Aramaic has made people suspicious of the document being a later work, or one that has been changed through time. Even if this uncertainty reduces a bit of the excitement, it does not influence the powerful emotions that are still vividly alive in the text. Be it original or symbolic, the communication of the eternal conflicts is still there. The letter's close form and character have distanced it from known scriptural or apocryphal works. It might be one of the very few personal writings from the period associated with Jesus, perhaps meant for a close family member rather than for the public or disciples. This peculiarity contributes to the overall mystery of the find and the meaning of it, and it makes the artifact more than just a historical piece. It is one that connects the past with human experience. As the linguistic signs gradually reveal themselves, they actually offer a portal back to a time when people lived very differently, and faith was an inseparable element of daily life. The words that have managed to survive on that delicate parchment allow us to picture a man not only struggling with the divine, but also suffering and hoping on the human level. The centuries have not destroyed the communication. A voice still speaking and waiting to be heard and comprehended is lying beyond the words. Such a message would surely rest on powerful relationships, and the name it addresses hints at a profound connection. The connection to James the Just. One of the most striking aspects of the letter is its salutation to my brother, which points directly to James the Just, a key figure in early Christian history and Jesus' brother or close relative. James not only had familial ties, but was also a respected leader, guiding the early Jerusalem church after Jesus' death. If the letter was indeed meant for him, it offers a rare glimpse into a deeply personal relationship seldom recorded in historical texts. James earned his title through humility, fairness, and devotion. Ancient historians, including Josephus, describe him as rooted in Jewish tradition while profoundly committed to his brother's teachings. Known for hours of prayer until his knees were calloused, James's spiritual rigor gained him respect within and outside early Christian circles. Following the crucifixion, he became a stabilizing force in Jerusalem, balancing Jewish law with emerging Christian practices, while apostles like Peter and Paul spread the message elsewhere. His role as mediator and bishop placed him at the heart of early church leadership. If this letter existed, it would not be a public sermon, but a private conversation between brothers navigating misunderstanding and conflict. Reports suggest its tone is gentle, introspective, and emotionally weighty, reflecting family intimacy strained by extraordinary circumstances. The text reportedly mentions truth as a heavy burden, highlighting the solitude and grief Jesus may have felt even among his closest kin. Addressing James as brother, the letter conveys personal struggle, need for understanding, and the call for forgiveness. Some scholars argue the phrase could be figurative, reflecting spiritual rather than blood ties. Yet the intensity and specificity of the message suggest a genuine personal connection. If composed before James's martyrdom in 62 AD, the letter could serve as a poignant farewell or encouragement to endure suffering. Whether authentic or symbolic, the document underscores the human dimension of Jesus, his relationships, emotions, and vulnerabilities, reminding us that behind the teachings and doctrine lay intricate family bonds and deeply felt connections. The themes woven through the letter reveal a tone not usually associated with grand religious proclamations, but one grounded in personal sorrow and forgiveness. The message's content and tone. Unlike typical religious texts filled with commands or miracles, the letter's tone is quiet, reflective, and deeply human. Early translations portray it as an expression of weariness, grappling with truth as a heavy burden few can bear. It conveys personal struggle, empathy, and compassion, challenging the usual image of Jesus as primarily a public prophet or miracle worker. One line reportedly reads, "Brother, the days grow heavy with sorrow, yet the light that was from the beginning remains unshaken." It balances resignation with hope, offering a vulnerable yet resilient voice rarely found in canonical texts. Another phrase urges forgiveness. "Forgive those who use my name too quickly. They are not thieves, they are hungry." This reveals profound empathy for others' confusion, contrasting sharply with fiery messianic rhetoric and emphasizing personal experience over public declaration. The uneven handwriting and simple language suggest a spontaneous outpouring rather than a polished sermon, giving the impression of a private confession or farewell from someone burdened by knowledge few can comprehend. The letter emphasizes the cost of truth and the toll it takes on its bearer, a focus largely absent in early Christian writings, which highlight faith, salvation, and community instruction. Its absence from church records or apocryphal texts raises questions. Some theorize it was hidden to prevent its vulnerable message from being politicized or distorted. Regardless of authenticity, the letter speaks to a timeless human condition, the struggle of living with difficult truths amid misunderstanding. Its words invite reflection on faith, not just as doctrine, but as a journey marked by sorrow, resilience, and compassion. The intimate nature of this message invites us to consider the wider reactions it has stirred among those seeking meaning beyond the text itself. Historical and scholarly reactions. The alleged 2,000-year-old message from Jesus sparked intense debate across religious, academic, and public spheres. Many believers embraced its intimate tone, seeing a human Jesus burdened by truth, reaching out to a brother, a perspective that challenges traditional narratives of miracles and prophecy. Skeptics cautioned that no official authentication or carbon dating has been confirmed. Scholars note that no writings directly from Jesus exist. All known texts were composed decades later. The sudden appearance of a private, preserved letter purportedly in his voice seemed improbable, raising concerns of forgery or misattribution. Linguistic analyses further questioned authenticity, citing phrasing inconsistencies and deviations from first-century Aramaic. Despite doubts, the letter's emotional power captured public attention. Podcasts, including the Joe Rogan Experience, discussed it as a profoundly human insight. Opinions split between seeing it as revelation or fabrication, while conspiracy theories emerged about suppression, though unverified. Whether authentic or symbolic, the message resonates as an embodiment of forgiveness, sorrow, and the weight of truth, encouraging believers to see faith as a personal journey shaped by compassion and vulnerability. Its absence from historical records raises questions about why such an intimate, non-dogmatic text might have been hidden. Ultimately, the letter from Mount Arbell, real or not, bridges history and faith, challenging assumptions, fostering dialogue, and inspiring reflection, humility, and forgiveness across the centuries. In summary, this extraordinary find offers a glimpse into a possible private side of one of history's most influential figures, challenging our understanding of faith and history. Whether authentic or symbolic, it reminds us that beneath doctrines lie deeply human experiences we still strive to comprehend. If you found this exploration intriguing, please like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from history's hidden corners.